Good evening, parents, and thank you for watching this pre-recorded information component of our information session tomorrow evening. We're trying something a little bit different, and I've pulled together some key staff who are able to hopefully give you some information and some advice about moving into what I would call the next steps of high school. So for those who are in Year 7, students who have now experienced their first 6 months, what's next? What should we be aiming for, striving for there? And for those in Year 8 and 9, what's coming up, and how do we really encourage our students to not just survive at high school, I guess, but to thrive. We're very fortunate to have a variety of staff who have provided some insight into what is next for your child, and that idea of thriving at high school. But also equally as important, those staff who are able to share a little bit more with you about what you can expect in the coming years and some tips along the way. After you have viewed this pre-recorded session, please join us tomorrow evening. That's Tuesday from 6:30 p.m. All of these staff presenting on this slide will be live on the chat, ready to take your questions. Firstly, I'd like to just discuss that idea of thriving at the college community. Initially, I think so many people look at what happens in the classroom and certainly the learning outcomes, but college is so much more than that for our teenagers. It becomes another community, and sometimes a lot of sub-communities there as well. And it's also that place where there is a lot of growth and development. It's a time where things can go wonderfully, and there are also times when things seem to go terribly wrong for students and they're really struggling. So what we're really looking at is this idea of thriving. I like this graph here. So it's looking at how students can thrive through, I guess, providing a contribution to our college and to the local community, and also flourish through their own personal growth and development. And we look at concepts such as developing a sense of belonging within the community, so feeling like they are part of the Chat College and the wider community. We certainly will be talking some very key words here: resilience and independence, which is so important for our teenagers as they're developing. And we are not forgetting the importance of developing some positive learning habits, as the learning obviously becomes a lot more difficult and as the expectations increase moving into senior. Communication is one of the first concepts I'm going to touch on. There is a variety of different types of communication. Obviously, again, in the classroom, we have those formal types, whether it's written or spoken, but there are so many other types of communication that we're expecting our students to engage in. Students are obviously very well versed in a lot of the online, the phone conversations now, but it's understanding the particular context and the appropriateness of the communication. It's the ability to have a difficult conversation, and this certainly develops that idea of empathy and compassion when they can sit down with someone, whether it's a peer, whether it's a staff member who is possibly going through a difficult time, or if there is a little bit of conflict. And certainly conflict resolution is one of those other types of communication that is so valuable. We actually touch on both of these in our Chat Community Sessions program, so students are able to practice in different scenarios before maybe they're experiencing it with their friends or with other adults or students. Communication, having that strength of communication skills, also develops that sense of self-efficacy and ownership. Obviously, the sense of self-worth, believing that they are important enough to have their ideas heard, that it is important to also work through problems this way. Having the ability to obviously verbalize emotions is such a big thing, and again, we do talk about this, discuss this, practice this in our Chat Community Sessions as well. This leads to an increased level of emotional intelligence and also improvement in mental well-being. When students have the words to explain how they're feeling, or the words, they know what to say to someone else who may be struggling, that certainly gives them that confidence as well. Year 8 students at the moment in Chatcom are going through a mental health simulation where they're actually practicing their communication skills with a peer who has been struggling online. And we've got a team of students, certainly for the lingo and for understanding the cultural context, but also staff and professionals, including our psychologists, that are helping with that simulation so that students can practice those skills and get feedback. If they're ever in that situation where they are supporting a student in need, or they really feel that it is time for that student to seek some help, they've got the words, they've had a chance to practice what that might be like, that conversation. Another key area which comes up a lot these days, because we are looking at developing world and work ready students, is that idea of critical thinking and the skills that go along with developing this big umbrella term. So problem solving and thinking in a variety of different ways, providing reasoning for decisions or potential outcomes. Certainly analysis and evaluation are becoming bigger skills these days in our classroom. And again, making decisions, whether that's individually or within a team environment. And I just put this quote up here because it's a great one for students or for what we see students doing, or what we'd like them to be able to do. So when they are in a situation that may be unfamiliar, or it may be a bit more difficult, we want them to be able to assess it and determine whether or not to ask for help, to seek additional information or to forge ahead, but also to recognise when to basically pull the cord and stop the bus and go, okay, this one's not happening right now, or this is not a good situation to be in, and it's time to move away. So that's what we're looking at here, but you will hear this concept being discussed later on in this presentation as well. I have a number of staff in this presentation talking about that idea of developing ownership and responsibility in our students. It is so important as they move through high school that they become owners of, I guess, their decisions and also their mistakes as well, and take responsibility for those. The idea of owning anything that they do from start to finish and committing to that is a really important one, and does develop that strength of character as well. Also being a reliable member of team, knowing what needs to be done, and getting it done. So whether that's an independent learner or whether that is in a collaborative situation. And I just put this is actually from an American university, this idea of student responsibility and what they're encouraging their tertiary level students to do. But this idea of claiming your education, this is your learning, this is your life, your education and your outcomes. So claim that and run with it. Develop that growth mindset, so you are able to look at things from different perspectives, and again think about possible ways of solving problems and of growing in this area. Think about thinking and learning. Don't just be a passive learner, so be part of the learning process. Enjoy the experience, ask questions, look at what is to come, look at what you'd like to learn. So it's never just sitting there and being a passive participant in the classroom. And my big favourite is working with an internal locus of control. And what I encourage my students to do when they are typing in their reflections on learning analytics is to really think about what goes into their reflection box, and it's got to be something that next time around they have control over. So if they're going to write down that their life was really busy and there was a family wedding, or the technology stopped working, or the task was really overwhelmingly hard, that's not going to help them next time they look at that reflection and they have to do a task that's similar. What will help them is if they identify that actually I didn't start this on time, or I needed to submit a full draft, I really needed to edit my work. All of those things allow them, when they look at that next time, to take ownership, but also to feel comforted in the fact that they can improve, because these are things that they can fix. It has nothing to do with what's happening outside or in the situation. It's what they have ownership for. We do this a lot in the pastoral area when we have students coming up. If there's a concern, whether it's they're struggling with a peer, they're struggling in a class situation, something's going on online, it becomes a conversation. And it's really important that the students take ownership for being part of that conversation. So where are we at? Identify what's going on there, and then have a conversation with heads of house and myself, or director of senior secondary or psychologists about, well, what do you think the solutions could be? What could we do? How are we going to go about solving this problem? Is it solvable? And then working together to come to a resolution, or a partial resolution, or the understanding that maybe there is no resolution right there. But students, I think, walk out of the office after these conversations understanding that they do have a say, and there are things that they can do to make a situation better, And then when they come back, if we have a bit of a review and a reflection a week or two later, you can see that sense of, oh, I was part of this process and actually it did improve. And it's a really affirming way of thinking about problems. And we know that then they're more likely to go and consider those options next time, or else come and see us straight away before the situation does get difficult, so they can do the same thing again. They can be part of that solution. If I'm talking about next steps, I definitely would like to talk about leadership. Our students come into the college, or certainly our secondary students come into the college as Year 7 students, many of them having had leadership roles in primary. And as they move through, even our Year 8 students, there is that growing sense of leadership responsibility and becoming a role model. This is a really positive a concept and something that we want our students to strive for, because it allows them to think about their own behaviour, their own sense of responsibility, how they're conducting themselves, how other students look to them. And it's about learning and growing in those roles as well. Leadership certainly at CHAC is not about putting the badge on. Leadership is about being the person that identifies that someone needs help, or that there's something that's not quite right that they can actually put a stop to, or seek out a staff member, or do something about a situation to make this community a better place. And so certainly as we look at next steps, and Melinda Miles will talk moving further into senior as well, about that idea of leadership, and we want students to really consider what they can do to contribute to the college, certainly as they move through the older grades. I've left my two big ones to last because, again, they're so important, but sometimes they're not easy. We are developing in our students the ability to collaborate, to work with other students, and sometimes that's like-minded students, and sometimes that's students that all have different abilities, different talents, different ways of seeing a situation, and that means those collaborative skills become really important. Collaboration is a key part of what we do outside of the college as well, so whether we're forming part of a sports team or a music group, when students start looking for part-time jobs, and certainly when they move into university or into the workforce, that idea of collaboration is still going to be there. The skills required in collaboration are quite diverse, but the ones that we certainly focus on, that idea of teamwork, being able to share ideas, but being able to let other people share their ideas as well. So exchange, communication comes into play again, supporting other people. So being a support for all of those other people in the team, regardless of the opinions or certain outcomes of a particular session. Sharing, again, so not being a passive learner. So we look at the idea of, I guess, the person that sits back and lets all the work happen around them. So being that person that's actively involved. And there is a level of trust, and some students might find that a lot easier than others, but being in that situation is trusting that everyone else in that situation is all working towards the common goal, and it is going to get done. It sounds easy. It's not for students. And again, sometimes students will come up to our office and have a conversation about when things aren't going so well in group work or in collaborative situations. And again, that's where they take ownership and responsibility for maybe their part in that situation as well. Have they been a little bit too passive? Or have they got a problem with letting other people share their ideas? So maybe they've got a very fixed idea of how this is going to go, and that doesn't work in a team environment. So there are a lot of skills to be developed in that collaborative situation. Now, I've just put this up here because this gives you some idea of all of the skills or all of the different concepts that are involved when students are collaborating. This is why we do it. And it, again, as I mentioned, such an important part for all of us in any aspect of life or work or study. And so I'm just going to leave this here because I think it's a good list to look at to understand what students need to consider when they are working in a team environment. And these are the things that some of our subjects that our teachers are also doing. So explaining to students the need to set rules in a team and have this common ground, to engage with others, to acknowledge your own strengths and weaknesses so that you can share those with the group, and you all have possibly parts that you're working on. So this is a great list there. So I just thought it might be a good one to share. And finally, I'm just going to leave this here because this sometimes is high school in a nutshell. But again, what we want to develop in our students is I guess a high threshold for uncertainty, because that is the world in which they're living in, not just at school but outside as well. but when they're at school, so sometimes the unknown is scary, but sometimes the unknown leads to some pretty great things as well. So the idea of being comfortable with uncertainty that accompanies problem solving and innovation and creative work. So from a learning perspective or collaborative perspective, this is a good thing. Uncertainty is what drives leaders to seek answers and solve problems. And to also recognise that setbacks and dead ends are part of the process. And a lot of these suggestions are from another clinical psychologist. You'll hear from our psychologist later on in this presentation. But I really love some of these conversation starters when it comes to this, especially that last one. So let's look at the problem. This is overwhelming. This overwhelming problem from all angles, let it rattle around in our brains. There are answers somewhere if we can let ourselves be uncertain first. So sometimes, even though there's that level of discomfort when things don't seem to just go smoothly or we don't know what's going to happen next, sometimes that's when the best ideas come out. And we need to communicate to students that we don't need to have everything figured out right this second. And it's important to recognise that even though sometimes the world feels so immediate in gratification, we're quick to judge, we have a very fast-paced culture, sometimes we just see all these difficult situations as problems to fix. And I think it's important for students to experience and learn from these and to take time to probably mull over some of those uncertainties and consider what some of the outcomes could be. Adults also go through this, not just students. And sometimes, in some ways, our children are learning from us because we also want to come in and fix. And certainly one of the topics that our staff will be talking about in this presentation is the need to sometimes sit back and let students do the mulling and sit on that level of uncertainty and go in and fix things for themselves. I am now going to pass over to our first speaker, but I hope that some of these tips have been useful, and I look forward to joining many of you online tomorrow evening to talk to our staff members.
Good evening, my name is Dr. Alex Van and I'm one of the college psychologists, and I'm here this evening to speak on behalf of myself and my colleague Amy Biggs-Chubos, who is the other college psychologist. I work part-time in the secondary school and Amy is our P to 12 psychologist here full-time. So we all know that adolescence can be a really tricky time for parents and for teens to navigate, and it's a time of considerable change and growth for everyone in a family. Maintaining mental health is arguably always a priority, and perhaps particularly so. It's a particularly important thing during adolescence, where the majority of lifetime mental illness can develop. So building resilience and independence in our youth is one of the key tasks for setting our kids up for success as adults into the future. So knowing that, we'd like to take this time to just discuss a couple of tips to help build resilience and enhance independence in your teen. So now that your child has settled into high school life, it's a good time to encourage them to get back to trying some new things. They might have done this a lot when they first started in year 7, because this allows them to really engage in some healthy risk-taking. That might look like trying out for a new sporting team or approaching a new group of friends. So particularly if your child is used to doing lots of things and is used to doing things pretty well the first time they do them, now is a really great time for them to experience that sense of giving something a go and sometimes failing, so that they can have that experience of surviving that and knowing that life goes on and they're still really worthy, valuable human beings, even if they don't succeed at something the first time. Sometimes as parents we can also feel the need to really protect our children from failures and from negative experiences. And of course we do this coming from a place of really good intention, but part of growth and development really needs our children to experience natural consequences and the natural shortcomings that occur in life. So really find balance between continuing to support, scaffold and guide your teen in all aspects of their life as they continue to learn, whilst also giving them that chance to thrive on their own. So as a parent, you can really support and remind your child of their innate strengths, their abilities and their unique personalities in this period of time where they may be feeling particularly self-conscious or struggling with confidence. This is also the time developmentally where children naturally start to separate from the primary family unit or parents and start moving towards developing their own sense of self. Part of this process will likely see your child having a desire to spend more time with their peers over their family, and rest assured this is really a natural and important part of adolescent development. And it's sort of like a rubber band process. So your children will start separating and individuating from you, becoming their own person, but they will also need to be able to bounce back whenever needed, knowing that you are there always as their soft space and their safe base to land. And finally, I think one of the biggest parts of your job now is to be able to be your child's emotional container. So this means that it's kind of really providing that opportunity, allowing them to get into the car and dump their day on you. Try not to take this personally. Most of the time, what our children are looking for us is to feel heard and to feel validated so that they can settle their own emotions and then start to work their way through problem solving and approaching the situation themselves, and often with your support on that as well. Part of what this really requires for you as parents is to be able to take care of yourselves as well, so that you have the capacity to manage your own responses and experiences, to then be able to hold whatever your delightful teen might decide to dump on you that day. So as a reminder, both Amy and myself are here to support all the college community, students, parents and families alike. So please don't hesitate to reach out anytime if we can support you or your child.
Hi, my name is Matt Small.
And my name is Tyson Schneider. We are both heads of house here at CHAC, and we would like to pass on some ideas in relation to continuing to develop independence and resilience.
Now, resilience is defined as our ability to spring back into shape and have elasticity. In terms of academic resilience, this refers to the ability to deal with setbacks at school, academic challenges, and various schoolwork pressures.
Dealing with setbacks or challenges can include anything from experiencing social discomfort, failing an assessment, forgetting your sports uniform, or any number of things that happen in a school day.
Of course, the tendency is for all of us to support children and smooth the way for them. We would really discourage intervening when your child is experiencing minor bumps in the road. We would ask that you don't accept text messages or phone calls from your child during the school day to come to the rescue. We have staff who are invested in the safety and well-being of your child and have processes in place to contact parents where required. Issues that arise throughout the school day are often the learning opportunities that allow resilience and independent problem solving to develop.
Learning that certain consequences are attached to actions, like procrastinating about an assignment that is due, is critically important. Allow students to make decisions for themselves and live the consequences is a key. This allows them the ability to build problem-solving skills and the independence that we hope for.
So the term snowplow parents or helicopter parents that clear the path for their children of any source of discomfort or swoop in to solve a child's problems are terms that have become increasingly recognisable. Research suggests that there can be many reasons why parents may decide to hover over their kids. One major reason is fear. Fear of losing them to mishaps, fear of them developing bad habits, and fear that they will not be able to deal with the competitive world without our help.
Learning to tame your anxiety as a parent is important. No matter how hard we try, we cannot control every scenario that happens in the life of your child. They may make some poor choices, they may experience failures, they may not be studious, and may be lazy or forgetful. They may become challenging, but we need to let them fail from time to time. Those experiences might have important lessons they need. They will help them succeed later in life.
So let your child take on an increasing number of decisions that affect their life to grow independence. Instead of rescuing them from every unpleasant situation, teach them good life skills so that they know how to deal with unpleasant situations on their own.
Having said this, if the decisions they are making are repeatedly poor, or have become bad habits, we are well placed to assist with various strategies and resources that centre around time management and study skills. Mahatma Gandhi said, "Action expresses priorities." Talking through the priorities students want for themselves can be the first step to achieving independence and resilience. Please contact us if we can support your efforts in the aspects of the school life.
Good evening, parents and students. My name is Nick Medcalf, and I'm head of Stradbroke House and the Year 9 Camp Coordinator. Camps play an integral role in the pastoral care program at CHAC, and the Year 9 Camp in particular helps to build resilience and independence in our young men and women through the nature of the day-to-day routine and activities on offer. A typical day on camp requires the students to cook or prepare all of their meals, trek from campsite to campsite with hiking packs, and participate in a range of traditional camp activities such as canoeing, high ropes, abseiling, and flying fox. Some of the main aims of the camp include challenging the students to go outside of their comfort zones and develop a range of skills such as teamwork, independence, and tolerance. We also see it as an opportunity for our students to stand up as leaders, as there are many daily chores and activities that require teamwork and empathy for our other members of the group. Camp offers a number of resilience-promoting activities. Being optimistic in the lead up to camp, focusing on the positive experiences that they're going to have rather than the negative ones. Trying new things and taking breaks from technology, something that our teenagers would definitely benefit from. Being in groups with different people creates the opportunity to listen to and learn from each other, as well as forming new and meaningful relationships. The camp experience might also ignite a passion for the outdoors that they didn't realise they had. There is always apprehension from some students and parents about camp. I urge you to promote the positives and personal growth that your children will gain from this experience.
Hello everyone, my name's Barb Mossman. I'm Head of Gifted and Enterprise Education at CHAC, which means that I'm involved with a really broad range of activities that are on offer here at the college. And what I'd like to do is really walk you through some of the things that are available and perhaps answer some questions about how your children might become involved in those activities in their time here. The Gifted and Enterprise Education program at the college aims to engage every student in their time at the school. The principles underlying it really reflect what we're trying to do here. We do value the diversity of students, and which is why we have the breadth of offerings to choose from. We absolutely believe that students get out what they put in, and so for that reason, we value involvement. We want students to find their tribe or several tribes, students who, to find other students who enjoy doing similar things or who think in similar ways, because we know that enhances their connection. And part of particularly the Enterprise program is very much aimed at developing the 21st century soft skills that are often spoken about in students, and I think that comes from involvement in a range of our activities. And the final thing is we are passionate about the value of exploration while students are in these middle school years, because often when they come into the college they don't know what they may yet be good at that they haven't come across yet. So we want them to explore while they are here. CHAC has so many things on offer. Most of you are aware of what is on offer in terms of music or sport. And of course we have our range of committees, the Environment Committee, Social Justice, Boys and Girls Committees. We have clubs such as the Coding Club for students who are very much into technology. And we also have the Enterprise program, which all students are involved in from years 7 to 10. And the Gifted Education program, which really offers a range of opportunities for students looking for challenge and extension in their area of skill. CHAC's Enterprise program is a future-focused program to develop soft skills of all students, which is why between Year 5 and 10, all students are a part of the program annually. There are, however, a couple of electives that develop some of those skills further. Students who love collaborative problem solving sometimes select the Year 9 elective Changing Tomorrow, and students who have individual areas of passion that they would like to develop apply for the project in Year 10. In addition, there are enterprise opportunities provided by external organisations annually, but they do change from year to year. Some of these programs are aimed at students with specific areas of interest. For example, the Something School and Tech Girls are aimed at students who love technology or have an interest in technology and problem solving. The Imagine Cup, similarly, but also looks at how you use AI to solve problems. Some of these programs are programs where students are nominated because of interests that they have shown in different areas, and some of them are open to any student who would be interested in applying. CHAC has a range of students with gifts in different areas. We have gifted athletes, we have gifted musicians, but we also have students whose gifts lie in different areas, which is what the Gifted Education program exists to cater to. The range of activities we have on offer here is second to none. Our scientists are catered for by the Exceptional Scientist program. Our mathematicians find a range of mathematics competitions available to them. Students who love technology love the Australian Junior Robo Cup, the Imagine Cup or Coding Club. Students who are good with language and who like expressing themselves will find that they can choose public speaking or debating, or even get involved in ethical discussion through the Ethics Olympiad. OptiMinds really is an activity that looks at dramatic and creative skills, and Da Vinci Decathlon draws upon students from a range of areas with different gifts in an academic competition every year. As far as how students get involved in the range of activities that we offer, the answer is we want your child to take responsibility for initiating that contact and for developing the courage to be able to put themselves forward and try something new. Most activities are announced in the morning notices, so they need to read their emails, read the morning notices, attend sign-on or launch meetings, email staff if they miss a meeting, ask their homeroom teacher who to contact if they're not sure, and absolutely take responsibility for getting involved. To reiterate, the benefits of being involved in the plethora of activities we have on offer here are immense. Of course, these things will be of no surprise to you, but you know that your children develop self-esteem and confidence through doing things that they love, that they develop a level of skill in, and we know that too. We also know that they find friends when they do them, and we do hope that they will find their niche or several niches in their time here at CHAC. To reiterate, the benefits of being involved in the plethora of activities we have on offer here are immense. Of course, these things will be of no surprise to you, but you know that your children develop self-esteem and confidence through doing things that they love, that they develop a level of skill in, and we know that too. We also know that they find friends when they do them, and we do hope that they will find their niche or several niches in their time here at CHAC.
Hello everyone, my name is Brother Nathan James and I'm the College Chaplain and Director of Mission. I oversee our Diakonos Service program. The benefits of service learning are well documented. At the centre of service learning is personal engagement with others for the purpose of mutual growth. Those who serve are also served. At CHAC, we seek to provide opportunities for students to reflect on the advantage they have and challenge them to share this with less advantaged people. However, we emphasise the mutuality of service learning, that they have much to learn and gain from the communities they engage with. For example, through participating in the Smith Family Student-to-Student Reading Program, our students help other young people to develop their literacy abilities. Buddies, the student-to-student participate, gain skills and confidence that significantly improves their learning and future employment opportunities. Readers, our students, gain insight to diverse cultures and communities and develop personal and interpersonal skills. Furthermore, they expand their social awareness, which leads to increased empathy and social and emotional intelligence. There are numerous opportunities for students to be involved in service learning at CHAC. We have an active Diakonos group made up of our social justice, environment, boys and girls committees. Through these committees, students engage in various events and fundraising initiatives, the aim of which is to enable students to learn more about key issues locally and globally and promote global citizenship. This is achieved through hosting guest speakers at our social justice, boys and girls committee breakfasts. Committees will often work on projects together, such as the Zonta Birthing Kit initiative. Members of the various committees come together to make kits and learn about the plight of women who give birth in developing nations, increasing the global and social awareness. The groups also have key fundraising drives to raise funds and awareness of issues such as homelessness, cancer, animal rights, LGBTQI+ issues, etc. We are fortunate to also be able to restart our boys and men's camp, as well as our Outback Service Learning Tour.
Hello everybody, I am Melinda Miles and I'm the Acting Director of Senior Secondary at CHAC. I take over from Shelley McMahon after students leave Year 9 and oversee students in Years 10 to 12. In my role, I work with senior secondary students overseeing their academic progress and pastoral care. I work closely with Penny Cummins, who is our Learning Pathways and Careers Counsellor, Kate Horton, our Head of Inclusive Education, the Heads of House, Dave Pavish, Shelley McMahon, and our college psychologists. I oversee the senior secondary pastoral programs, most notably the CHACCOM program, and also the senior preparation program, which is a year 11 and 12 subject that runs in half a line and that helps students prepare for their senior studies and equips them with important ATAR, QTAC and careers information. I also organise the Year 11 camp. This is a great 3-day experience, which I will get to a little later in my presentation. So what's different in senior secondary? Well, for the students, probably one of the most exciting changes is the swap to the senior secondary uniform. And it's wonderful each year to see the new Year 10s bursting with pride as they wear their blazers and their new uniforms for the first time. They're officially one of the big kids. With this comes a number of responsibilities, including that of being a role model, ensuring that they always present themselves well, wearing the correct uniform with the correct haircuts, the correct jewellery requirements, socks, school shoes, they have their mobile phones away in their locker, etc., just as they will have done in junior secondary for the school day. There's a focus in senior secondary on careers in pathways, and this is the topic of our first CHACCOM unit in Year 10. And there are lots of leadership opportunities for students to look forward to. Along with the expectations of being a role model, study and home learning expectations also increase as students continue to become independent learners. In the junior years, it's important to prepare students for their senior studies by setting up good study habits and routines. Homework and study demands do increase each year, with Year 10s expected to complete 2 hours of enhanced learning at home each night, and this then increases to 2.5 to 3 hours in Years 11 and 12. There is an expectation that students take responsibility for their learning and ownership of this. Home learning will not always take the form of traditional homework though. Students may be asked to review their class notes, to watch flipped classroom style videos, to research or to complete specific activities that have been set by their teacher. Of course, if your child says that they have no homework, even now, I would say this is most likely not the case. There is always revision and reviewing of class notes that can be completed, and this is a habit that students should be developing now to set them up well for their senior studies. Setting up a suitable study space is vital, and if your child does not have a study space that is quiet and free from distractions, I would encourage you to assist them here in helping them set up a space. I'm sure that I don't need to tell you that mobile phones are a key distraction, contrary to what your child might like to have you believe. So I encourage you to have a conversation with your child around their mobile phone use when studying. Most phones have screen time settings and downtime functions that can be set up by parents. Otherwise, removing phones until homework is complete is also an option. As mentioned, there are leadership opportunities for students in the senior years. In Year 10, students have the opportunity to apply for the formal leadership position of House Deputy. This position works closely with their head of house, house captains and other house deputies to plan and run house events, and provides a great taster and experience for leadership positions that they may be considering in the future. Year 11 is a busy and important time as this year group prepares to take the college's student leadership. There are a number of positions, including primary and junior secondary mentors, music and sports captains, spiritual leaders, arts ambassadors, and house captains and college captains available for our seniors. This process begins early in Year 11, and the Year 11s formally take over the reins from the Year 12s in Term 4 and are ready to lead the college in their final year. All positions provide an amazing opportunity for students and allow them to give back to the college. We've also got a number of other ways that students can get involved in college life. Of course, we have our music and our sports programs and our enterprise programs. But we've also got lots of committees that seniors, especially the senior secondary students, enjoy. These include the Boys and the Girls Education Committees, the Social Justice Committee, and the Environment Committee. Homeroom also provides an opportunity for students to get involved, and senior secondary students are encouraged to connect with the younger students. Homeroom is a very special place for students where important bonds and supports are made amongst the student body. In Year 11, senior secondary students attend the Year 11 Leadership Camp. This camp is usually held in the first week of Term 2. For the past 2 years, we've been to Luther Heights at Coolum. It's an amazing camp. There are many physical and mental challenges, and I can honestly say that this is one of the best venues that I've been to for a school camp. I think the staff love it just as much as the students. On camp is where we have our semi-formal. This is, I would say, the highlight of the camp for our students. The semi-formal is always themed. This year we had the theme of the 70s, and students are asked to get their outfits from op shops. It is lots and lots of fun, and definitely a night to remember. In the senior secondary years, we continue to develop resilience in our students, and this is an area that we partner with you when students experience disappointments and setbacks. We encourage students to take ownership as problem solvers, to overcome challenges, and we model how to persevere, to learn from mistakes, and have the determination required to work towards goals, rather than removing all roadblocks and obstacles that they may encounter. At CHAC, we aim to develop world and work-ready individuals, and developing resilience is a key component to achieve this. Just as in junior secondary, there are plenty of supports available when your child begins Year 10 and right through to Year 12. If your child or if you have any concerns or issues, please do reach out. We are always here to help you. In the first instance, we encourage your child to address the problem themselves. Again, this is a key component to helping develop resilience. They could contact their homeroom teacher or their relevant subject teacher. This can be either in person or via email, whatever makes the student feel more comfortable. After this, the next point of call is either the appropriate head of faculty if it's a specific subject-related concern, or their head of house if it's a more overarching concern, either academically or pastorally. Following this, I'm always available to be contacted by phone or email. Thank you for your time this evening, and I look forward to meeting you all as your child enters the senior years.
My name is Penny Cummins and I am the Learning Pathways and Careers Counsellor with an office based in the Resource Centre. My role is to provide careers education for students from years 10 to 12, and this commences with a 6-week unit in Term 1 for all Year 10s. So starting in Year 10, I'll become more of a familiar face to all Year 10s through the Chatcom program. I'll then get to know students a little more when we meet in Term 2 to review their senior education and training plan, which is developed in Chatcom. This is an opportunity for us to reflect on their strengths and interests and to start some pathways planning in advance of the subject selection process for senior taking place in Term 3. And of course, my role is always very busy with helping years 11 and 12 with planning their post-school pathway. I have a couple of suggestions for how parents can help their students in terms of their career investigation. Firstly, I think in Year 10, it's really important to encourage as much exploration as possible. So talk to your students about the quizzes and activities that they are doing in Chatcom sessions. We use an excellent careers education platform called Career Tools that provides a wealth of resources to help students in their career investigation and planning. So there's lots to talk about around that program. Secondly, it's really important at this stage to value all options and all ideas that students might have. This might seem a little unrealistic at times, but there's always a pathway. That's certainly my philosophy in terms of guiding students. There's always a pathway to a particular career or work future that they might be seeking to pursue. And finally, it's really important to foster in students a sense of ownership of their unique career journey. It can be a lot easier to do it for them, but of course it's the young person who's on the journey and they need to know the how-to. So they need to know how to search for courses, how to apply for jobs. So really do encourage that ownership by students in their own career planning. In the short term, I'd recommend that in choosing subjects for Year 10 that your students explore as much as possible their subject interests. We're very fortunate at CHAC to have many semester-long Year 10 units that enable students really to try out all subject areas from the science to the social sciences, the arts and so on. Remember though that some Year 10 students may be providing crucial learning required for senior, and this is particularly important in the case of science and maths in second semester of Year 10. A student who hopes to study, say, physics in Year 11 will find it really difficult if they haven't been working to their potential in Year 10 and consolidating key skills. So Year 10 really is an important year. And so it's important to start Year 10 off right. 2 hours a night is, of course, the recommended home study allocation for Year 10s. In the long term, I will be providing more advice early next year about senior schooling, and in particular the Queensland Certificate of Education and the ATAR, which is simply a rank that is used by universities to help them select students for their courses. At CHAC, we have students undertaking a mix of pathways. Some are ATAR eligible, some choose not to be ATAR eligible. We also have some vocational pathway options that I will be introducing to students. This includes the TAFE at School program. It includes vocational qualifications offered by various training organisations. And of course, it includes school-based apprenticeships, which are always supported by the college. Students, though, do need to identify these. So on that note, I look very much forward to meeting parents next year and supporting your child on their learning pathways planning journey.
Again, thank you for watching this presentation. I hope that the information that was shared by these key staff members was helpful, and maybe you got some tips along the way. I hope that you can join us tomorrow evening, Tuesday, between 6:30 and 7:30 p.m. This very large panel of staff will be available to answer your questions. So, and you will have the opportunity, obviously, of identifying which staff member that you would like to answer your questions. So again, thank you for joining us, and I will see many of you online tomorrow evening.